that is living the Dhamma. That is what His Holiness wants, to touch each other. In that greeting itself, you have accepted each other as a member of your own family. And that is the sense of belonging that we must develop in ourselves. Particularly in your case, I want to see this grow in strength and strength. Today, we are going to discuss about success, well-being, and happiness. Do you want to be successful?
Yes!
Very successful?
Yes!
What is happening in the world today is that there are many life gurus, coaches from America and from Europe particularly, and even in Australia. You have coaches like Zig Ziglar, Napoleon Hill, Anthony Robbins, Stephen Covey, Bob Proctor, for whole range, and your own Deepak Chopra, who has now gone to America, and they are minting money. They charge thousands and thousands of dollars, US dollars, for you to go and listen to them. And usually they are in a huge stadium, and you see them like a small ant giving a talk with some screens, and then you clap. Very happy, you go home. But you don't realize that many of these gurus, or in fact all of these gurus, they have taken the wisdom from India and China and put into new bottles of jargon, and they're selling these ideas and concepts as though they discovered it, as though it is a secret. In fact, there is a movie called The Secret, titled The Secret, giving you the impression that this is a secret that they have discovered. But there is no secret. Many of the things that they have been talking have been known in Indian, Tibetan civilization for centuries. So I want you to feel that you have a rich heritage, you belong to a rich heritage. The minute you are referred to as a Tibetan, you are owners of a very rich heritage, automatically. And it's up to us now to understand and to benefit from this rich heritage. So your task is much easier than those who are not having this cultural, historical, civilizational richness. So your task is much easier in that sense. But nevertheless, we are not taught in our schools, and certainly not in our colleges, how to succeed. This is very odd. We are taught all about various things in terms of our specific discipline or subject, geography or history or even Buddhist philosophy. You study the text, study the sutras, you study all the teachings, but nobody teaches you how to succeed in life. And as you rightly said, all of you want to succeed. So what are we going to do? How are we going to succeed? Now, also, very often we do not know what success is. Or worse still, we have a wrong understanding of what success is. Usually, because the world is so monetized, the world is so swamped with commercial interest, of consumerism, of making money. That's all the world is doing today. The world is rotating because everybody wants to make money. And they're chasing and chasing and chasing after this money. Everything they want to do or think of doing, they want to make sure that there is some profit, some gain, some benefit. And the ideal is to become a millionaire. Even now, the millionaire ideal has become a multi-millionaire. Now they're talking in terms of billionaires. And one of the richest men in the world, who is he? Slim? No, Slim, there's another chap Carlos from Mexico. His name is Slim, but he is not slim. He's like this. And I'm sure these people are not happy. They might have all the money, but they're not happy. Now, what we need to understand is happiness and success, or success and happiness, and here I also talk about well-being, is not going to be conditioned or equated or defined by how much of money you're making. It can never be. Money is not all. Richness in terms of property, in terms of wealth, is not success. We have to look at success in a broader, more holistic way, where we also think in terms of well-being and happiness. I did put another component, and that is peace, because it will be overloading our discussion. So later on, when we have time, we also look at peace. Generally, I cover all of these, and none of these life gurus or trainers talk about this whole spectrum. They only talk in terms of success, in terms of making money. Now, when we talk of success, whose success are we talking about? We are talking about our success. So we need to understand ourselves first before we can go and talk or listen to these people or engage in whatever they are teaching. And for us to decide and to understand what success is, we have to be introspective. We have to sit down, be detached, and start thinking and feeling and looking inwards, not outwards. Because from day one, when we are born, and in school and in college, we are always taught to look outwardly, and also taught to look in a physical way. We don't look or feel in other ways, because this is an easier way to teach. There is no introspection. You just take in whatever is taught and you look at things in a very physical way. So even in terms of success, we tend to look in physical terms. We quantify in physical terms. But we must now move away from that kind of outwardness and look inward. And we need, as I said yesterday, to know and understand ourselves as human beings. That's fundamental. That's basic. If we forget that we are human, and if we forget to understand that we have to have a symbiotic relationship, don't worry or don't get frightened by the word symbiotic. It simply means that the mind must be in harmony with the body, and the body must be in harmony with the mind. Each reinforces the other. A healthy body must have a healthy mind. A healthy mind must have a healthy body. And that will help to reinforce each other. So we need to have this concept constantly in our mind. In fact, when we talk in terms of well-being, many of the sicknesses and ailments and problems in the world in terms of health are psychosomatic. Psychosomatic means it originates from the mind. The mind is the one that has created the cancer. The mind is the one that gives you hypertension, insomnia, stress, high blood pressure. All kinds of diseases and problems are triggered off. Or you put it the other way, you can trace these sicknesses or ailments to the mind that is unsettled, the mind that is all the time in a state of stress, tension, and various other problems like insomnia. Insomnia is you can't rest and sleep well. If you can't sleep well, what happens? It tends to affect your physical body. So when you talk in terms of well-being and happiness and peace, which is a an important component of success, because you cannot say that you are successful if all these other components are not there. Our definition or understanding of success is that these other three components must also be with you, not just the material success or whatever aspirations that you want to have. So again, I will keep on emphasizing this aspect of mind and body, and this is something which modern science, modern medical science have over and over again emphasized today. It was ignored, it was neglected, overlooked hitherto. But today, more and more researchers are pointing to the interdependence or the symbiotic relationship between mind and body, or Nama and Rupa. Now, if we are paying so much of attention to the mind, then obviously we need to now look at how we are going to train this mind. Our first understanding of the mind, I thought, is best reinforced if we have some kind of affirmations, some kind of repetitive exercise where we remind ourselves every morning and, if possible, every night before we go to bed about the importance of the mind, about the fact that we have a mind, about the fact that we need to discipline this mind, we need to strengthen this mind, we need to remove all the defilements in this mind and all the aberrations in this mind. Both remove the negative and reinforce the positive. Reinforce the positive and remove the negative on a daily basis. Now, why do we want to do that? We just don't do things blindly. We should not do things without understanding. The minute we understand something, then whatever we do makes sense. Whatever we do will be done with more enthusiasm, commitment, and dedication. Many of the things we do, we just do it because somebody said, or because everybody else is doing it, without that understanding. So let us take some time to look at the mind in more detail. And these are some of the things that are in the Dhammapada and other scriptures, because the Buddha taught a great deal about mind, the nature of the mind, the development of the mind, the problem that the mind creates. And in fact, there is a whole body, Abhidhamma, which is dealing with the mind. We talk in terms of psychology vis-a-vis Freud. And we hail Freud as the father of psychology. Maybe the father of so-called modern psychology. But psychologists, Carl Gustav Jung, Chuck, and all the others, and all the others who have now come up in this world have discovered that they are only knowing the surface of psychology. The depth of knowledge and wisdom and insight in terms of psychology, in terms of psychiatry, is so advanced in the Abhidhamma and all other Buddhist literature that they are now only discovering. And in course of time, we find more and more and more researchers validating what the Buddha taught. So here I thought I'd take the first two stanzas of the Dhammapada, the very first two stanzas, and try and make you appreciate and understand the great importance of these two stanzas vis-a-vis our own understanding of the mind. By mind, the world is led. It is the mind that leads the world. All that is happening in the world today is led by the mind, not by any machine. It is the human mind that is doing or not doing whatever that is happening in this world. By mind, the world is moved. All good and bad things exist in the world because of the mind. Our actions are all led by the mind. Our mind is the master, mind is the maker. If one speaks or acts with a defiled mind, then pain pursues him, even as the wheel follows the hoof of an ox. This is the very first verse of stanza in the Dhammapada. And the Buddha was teaching to ordinary people, not people like you who are educated, having come to college level, to farmers, to peasants. And therefore he had to use similes. He was a fantastic communicator. He used parables, similes, idioms which people could understand. The farmer could understand when the ox moves, the wheel will just automatically follow and the water is pulled from the pond or whatever the resource is. So the farmer could understand that all of these actions, if it's good, it will go with some beneficial returns or results. If your actions are positive, wholesome, you will definitely have a positive result. Input equals output. So always remember, regardless of, even whether it is wholesome or unwholesome, always remember as a guideline, particularly in your studies, particularly in whatever you aspire or whatever endeavor you want to take, input equals output. If there is zero input, what do you get? Don't blame the lecturer, don't blame the books, don't blame anybody, blame yourself. So make sure you put in the right input, whatever you do. Whatever you do, the input should be there and it should be right and wholesome. Then I can guarantee you, you will get the output, which is wholesome and commensurate with the input. There is no other way. This is scientific, this is logical. So this is what you should draw out from, one of the things that you draw out from this very universal reality or truth. Regardless of whatever environment you belong, or whatever country or society you come from, you can't run away from the logic and rational underpinning of this concept. The converse, if one speaks or acts the pure state of mind, then happiness follows like a shadow that remains behind without departing. You cannot run away from your shadow. Your shadow follows you wherever you go. So if you have positive, wholesome action, it will stay with you like a shadow. That's the gist of the meaning. Another stanza which I thought that you should remember as a guideline not just in this university or college, but for your whole life. Whatever stage of life, whatever station in life, whatever status in life, you should remember this. The mind is hard to check. It is not a simple thing. Swift and dodges wherever it is attached. Even as I talk to you, some of you must be thinking, oh, I have not finished my exercise assignment. When is this talk going to be over? This chap is talking to us. Where does he come from? Is he from India or is he from somewhere, some other place? This is how the mind learns. Even as you are here with me physically, your mind might be somewhere else. Where is my boyfriend? Is he going to come tonight? My girlfriend, I have not seen her the whole day. I hope she turns up. That's how the mind learns. You are here with me, but the mind has gone all over. So we need to control this mind. We need to see that it is moving. We need to know that it has to come back, become one-pointed. So this is something that you must be developing. And as you develop it, and our venerables will help you to train the mind in so many ways, next so many exercises that are there in training the mind. Some are very advanced, some are very complicated, some are very demanding. But even simple things like sitting down and reflecting would help. It is better than not doing that. A simple exercise of just sitting down, reflecting daily for 5-10 minutes in the morning and in the night, especially in the night before you go to bed, is very, very effective. Next. This, who knows Chinese can appreciate that. Now, what is the first step that we got to do when we talk in terms of success? What do you think is the first step? Pardon? What must you do?
Look inward.
Pardon?
Look inward.
Look inward, we have finished that. Beyond looking inward, the first thing is normally all the gurus who talk and who have been copying all the teachings of the Buddha and putting it into new jargon, they talk in terms of goal. You must have a goal. Because they do not use the original term. So they just say goal and goal setting. But more than goal, because you can have a goal and it's useful to have goals. But goal is much less than aspiration. You must have an aspiration. So as I looked into this subject of success, I also wanted to find out who is the best role model we can have to show or to emulate as a success guy. Who? Anybody? Who is the best role model? What is your best role model? And different people will have different role models. What is your best role model? Anybody? Bill Gates, in holiness, wonderful. Anybody else? Somebody was obsessed with Bill Gates. Anybody else role model? And you think of some good role model and why? Huh? Who? Buddha? Mahatma Gandhi? Good? Buddha you mentioned? Yeah. Buddha is a fantastic role model. But all of us cannot be Buddha, so it is too high. But before he became Buddha, what was he? Before Buddha became the Buddha, he was Prince Siddhartha. Prince Siddhartha. He was born as Prince Siddhartha. Siddhartha is a historical personality, personage, not a fictitious person. He was born in India, and if he could attain Buddhahood, which is so difficult, then that would be a fantastic role model for you to be able to achieve mundane, earthly aspirations. His aspiration was to be the Buddha, and it is not easy to be the Buddha, but he succeeded. So we need to see how he succeeded to become the Buddha. And very logically, it is such a tall or high aspiration that he achieved. So if you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, a teacher, entrepreneur, it is more mundane, and definitely you will achieve that. Because it's much more downward, it's much more mundane, it's much more smaller, simpler to achieve. So I thought that should be, and I started looking at the most important aspect in the life of Siddhartha and how he was able to attain. And what struck me was the concept of Pratthana. Pratthana means aspiration. If he had not had the aspiration, he would not have even left the palace. For him to leave the palace, you must have an aspiration. And there are many things in his life that we can see and benefit from, we can recognize, we can notice, appreciate and benefit from. And in fact, I wrote a book, I've run out of the book, but I've left one in the office, Siddhartha Prince of Peace. And that is for adult reading, but a simplified version of it for younger groups is to give an insight as to how Siddhartha was able to become the Buddha. So aspiration is used in different forms. They have not used the word aspiration, the life gurus, they say goal setting, but aspiration means more than just goal. You must have that inner calling, that inner urge to want to do something first. If you don't have an aspiration, there is no way you can achieve anything. So aspire, develop your aspiration, aspire to be something, and then find how you can translate or actualize this aspiration and achieve whatever you aspire. And in the Theravada tradition in particular, this is the problem we have. We recite these things as a normal daily activity. And it goes like this. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo sakat samagamo hotu yavadipana pattiya. May I aspire to have virtuous friends who will not take me astray, but guide me along the right path. So remember, friends can be very, very positive or very negative. Make sure you associate with the right people. If you associate with somebody who has got a negative thought, oh, this is difficult, oh, this is too much trouble, oh, there's no point doing these things, why do you want to bother doing these things? You will also be dragged down. If you associate with somebody who is very positively inclined, yes, I want to do this, I'm sure I can do this, together we will do this, I will help you to do this, let us try and aspire to do this and let us work, then you will be able to reach your, or actualize your aspiration. And we can have various exercises and drills and methods and techniques as we go along. When we have a Dato workshop, we go into details of how you can do this. But I thought I want to emphasize, this should be emphasized, this question of aspiration. Now, when you have aspiration, you must also have some focus. You just cannot simply aspire. You can aspire something which is good, or you can aspire something which is not good. But we expect you to aspire something that is wholesome. And when you aspire, you cannot aspire in such a fashion that you ask somebody. Normally what happens in most cultures, and even in the Buddhist communities, is that you try to get your aspiration actualized by doing some puja, or going to somebody and saying, can you help me to get this done? Or you go and give some kind of donation to some religious organization. You expect shortcuts. You expect shortcuts. And you never, as I said, look within and look inward. There is no aspiration that is going to be achieved with external assistance. No power beyond your own effort is going to make you achieve whatever you want. Self-reliance should be your absolute guide. Absolute guide. You have to rely on yourself. Even the Buddha cannot come and help you. His holiness can guide you, but you have to put in your effort. You have to be self-motivated. You have to be self-regulated. You have to rely on yourself. This underpinning, you cannot run away. And don't ever entertain the idea that, okay, exam is near, I just go to a vihara or temple or wherever and, make some prayers and pray the whole day or whole night. You're going to pass the exam. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Many people, unfortunately, human beings being very frail and always wanting shortcuts, resort to this in our own homes, in our own culture, because that is the tendency human beings have. But as intelligent and young people, be mindful that that is not going to happen. And there are beautiful verses and teachings of the Buddha on self-reliance. I have written about these things. We have to all the time remind ourselves, as I told you, take some time off, have some reflection time, and contemplate on self-reliance as well. As you contemplate on the mind, then you contemplate on self-reliance. Charge yourself, energize yourself, make yourself more and more ingrained with this important principle of relying on yourself. Agree?
Yes.
A problem? I will leave many of these things. Now, besides the aspiration as I put as the principle underpinning, you must have the aspiration. Like in marriages, I thought we look at some factors or some ingredients again. What are the ingredients that we need to have to make sure that we succeed? There are certain ingredients. As Stephen Covey said, there are 7 steps to having happiness. Then after some years, I saw 8 steps coming up. Then he discovered the 8th step. So I tell my Dhamma-putris and Dhamma-putras, there are not 7 steps, there are no 8 steps. I am going to give you a path, a whole path of happiness. What do you want? 7 steps, 8 steps, or you want the whole path? Whole path. And in the Buddha Dhamma, you get a whole path to happiness, well-being, and success and peace. So we have a whole path. And in this part, there are a certain number of ingredients that we focus it and bring it. And this is not understood very well by the life gurus. They refer to self-confidence. But what the Buddha taught was Shraddha. Shraddha is total surrender. Complete and total surrender to whatever you are going to do with the confidence that you will succeed. So often many people interpret this with less depth of understanding as faith. You must have faith. But the problem with faith is that many people are having blind faith. They just blindly just do it. And as you read the newspapers and internet, many of the killings and many of the things that are going on is because of blind faith. They believe that it is right. They believe that that is what is their mission. And blindly they do it. But what the Buddha insisted is that it should be faith based on understanding. You have to have faith based on understanding. The minute you have that kind of confidence, Shraddha, then you will feel that you will be able to surmount any obstacle, any difficulty. And in the life of Siddhartha, in this effort to become enlightened, he went through many challenges. Many challenges. But his Shraddha, his adhisthana, coupled with his Shraddha, gave him the confidence that he will be able to succeed. He was sure that he would be able to. If he had faltered, if he had for a minute or for a second thought, oh, this is difficult, I don't think I can succeed, he would have given up. And his great renunciation, renouncing all the pleasures and even the comforts of the palace and his own wife and child, for him to renounce, the great renunciation cannot happen or could not happen or would not have happened if he did not have Shraddha. Because there is no turning back. He said, I'm going. And I'm going to find this answer to deathlessness. The path to Sukha. He understood Dukkha, but he wanted to find the path to Sukha. How do I find Sukha? And the Sukha that he was looking for was complete, absolute Sukha, not the pleasures that come to you with eating and dancing and whining and enjoying yourself with sensual pleasures. No, absolute, where there is deathlessness. That Sukha, and it was not easy. So Shraddha you must have, and develop this Shraddha. If Siddhartha could succeed in becoming the Buddha, I must have Shraddha in succeeding to accomplish my skills in Chinese language, my skills in English, my skills in geography, my skills in IT. I can, I must, I will. That Shraddha must drive you. That is the force, that is the engine that must keep you going and going and going. And there should not be any doubt in your mind that you will be able to achieve. You have it in you. It is there. It's up to you to harness that potential, that innate talent, that innate intelligence, the capabilities that you have. You don't have to go anywhere else. Now, there are many exercises that we can do to develop this Shraddha, and of course, as you develop your own religious and spiritual strength in the Buddha Dhamma, you will develop this Shraddha, because then you become more and more confident in the truth of the Dhamma, in the truth of the Dhamma, in the reality of the Dhamma, in the universal truth of the Dhamma. You will have, and that will drive you. Now, besides all of that, Patthana and Shraddha, you must have a few other things. Now, I might have the Shraddha and I might have the Patthana, but I must also be mindful that I must have Adhisthana. These are Sanskrit terms. Adhisthana means resoluteness. Adhisthana. You must be resolute, meaning that you must be determined. All the time going on and on and on and on without giving up. Because of these Adhisthānas, great Siddhartha, and even after he became Muni Siddhartha, a sage, he kept on. He didn't give up. And that Adhisthāna, that resoluteness of wanting to attain enlightenment, made him go even beyond achieving the status of a great Muni. You and I would be more than happy to be a Muni, but not Siddhartha. He wanted the ultimate, so he went on and on and on. Now, many life gurus don't use this term because they don't want to show that this is ancient wisdom. They come up with new jargon to show that this is as though something they discovered yesterday, or they themselves discovered as a result of their own life experience. One area they have still missed out, apart from Shraddha, is an element called, or a principle called, Vinaya. Vinaya. Most venerable, you have a Vinaya, 200 and something, 222 Vinayas to follow. Because this Vinaya protects you. This Vinaya helps you from not going the wrong direction or not being led astray. The Vinaya is the one that we need, meaning discipline. Now, Venerable has got 222. We have only a few. Yet we want to follow that view. We have a lay Vinaya of Panchasila to take care of our body, as we discussed yesterday, and we don't do that. Then we have the Eight Noble Path, a complete, comprehensive guideline to have a wonderful, successful life. Are you familiar with the Eightfold Noble Path? Panchasila you know, Eightfold Noble Path you know, right thought, right understanding, right thought, right speech, all of those things. That is a guideline. That is a framework. You have to follow this because this is going to help you to reach or to achieve and actualize whatever you are aspiring. It is not something you are supposed to learn by heart and then repeat whenever there is an examination or somebody asks a question. But use it as a living guideline in all of your activities, in all of your undertakings, in whatever station in life. As a student, as a daughter, as a son, as a brother, as a sister, as a father, as a mother, all of your stations in life, you must be guided by the Panchasila and the Eightfold Noble Path. And if you have a spiritual calling, which is even much stronger than the normal spiritual elements or aspirations that you have, go to Dasa Sila. There are many grades. You can develop further and further away. And occasionally take 8 precepts where you take yourself away from normal day-to-day life on a full moon day or once a month or some occasion and divorce yourself, cut yourself away from normal life and have some time more to reflect. Now the Virya part and the Vinaya part, Virya is as equally important as the Vinaya. Not only must you be guided by the Vinaya or discipline, but you must also have Vinaya. You must have the energy. You cannot expect something to happen without the energy, without the effort. You must put in the effort. So Virya is effort. You put in sufficient effort so that there is actualization. Wishful thinking, imagination, prayers is not going to bring about. Effort will bring about definite progress, definite realization of your goals or aspirations. Now, how do we try and develop these? As I said, I have used the role model of Siddhartha who attained Buddhahood, and we can now try and see how these elements can be seen in the Siddhartha's life, as I illustrated in my book, which we don't have time to go through. But you will see in the book that I've written all of these very pronounced, all of these elements of his spiritual impulse and the visualizations. I want to spend some time on this visualization because this is a technique that modern gurus are using without giving credit to the fact that this was what Prince Siddhartha himself did. We know that when he went out of the palace, he had sighted an old man, a sick man, and a horse. That is visualization. He realized that this is going to happen. He realized that this is going to happen to all his loved ones. He realized that life will definitely have to end up like this for himself and all of humanity. And he did not want to go along this path. He wanted to find the path which is going to take him away from this. And the fourth visualization is the Samanera, who is smiling, who is cheerful, who is at peace with himself and his environment, and who wants nothing. Just a mendicant with a bow and walking in such a saintly gait. Walking alone, with no possessions. And here am I, with all the possessions in the world, and I am going to suffer this. What do I do? So he decided to take that path. That is the visualization. Unfortunately, it is not presented in that way, and unfortunately, all those gurus who are talking about visualization do not give credit to this whole visualization or this visualization technique. And he told himself, I don't want to go through this. He reminded himself every day, why should I live to go through this? Is this life? Is this all that is in life? I must find a way. There must be a way. And he was able to visualize the way. That made him leave the palace. That made him renounce everything and try out. Of course, in the normal text, which I have endeavored to correct, and normal text, what has happened, because the life of the Buddha has not been emphasized, and he himself said, my life is not important. So he did not talk much about his life, his early childhood, and all those other details were not there. 500 years later, Ashwaghosa wrote about, and those days they were only interested in telling this happened, this happened, this happened. And it is stated that as he saw these sights, he asked his charioteer, Chudna, what is this? Who is this? How is this? A bodhisattva does not have to ask this. He is already an enlightened being. He is a mature 29-year-old being. He has known about that. His mother died when he was 5 days old. No, 7 days old. His father has now grayed and wrinkled 29 years after his birth. He himself has physiologically changed. He is no more a baby, he is a man of 29. He has seen trees fall and flowers fall and wither away and die, because he spent so much of time in the garden of nature reflecting. So he knew that. He knew that. He knew that very well. But what happened was, he was shocked. He was traumatized. At that moment when he saw the old man, he was traumatized. That is what happened. And that traumatization took the form of visualization since that day. And he used to reflect on it. I give another example. You're familiar with Newton, right?
Yes.
What is he famous for? Gravity. And gravity was there. You mean to say Newton did not see fruits fall? He has seen fruits fall. He has plucked fruits. Everybody has seen fruits fall. But at that moment when he was in deep thought, thinking, why things that fall and do not fly off? At that moment, it dawned on him, it is gravity that is pulling. Gravity has been there. He has seen things fall. Similarly with Siddhartha. Another good example. Who is in science? Who's doing science? Who's doing science? Good. Do you know Archimedes? Archimedes.
Yes.
Specific gravity. How did he discover specific gravity?
Principle of buoyancy.
Huh?
Principle of buoyancy.
Yeah, but how did he discover?
He discovered in the past.
Yes. He had been waiting for how many years, and the king asked him to prove that the king knew something is wrong with the crown that was made, and he suspected, but the weight is the same. So how is he going to prove that this alloy is not completely gold when the weight is the same? And Archimedes, the famous philosopher, mathematician, he is scientist, he couldn't. But one day when he went to bathe, and as he was thinking about this problem, he realized the water displayed. And then it dawned on him that the amount of water that is displayed by his body is equivalent to the density. And Eureka! He ran out naked. He was even not thinking. He just ran out, Eureka, Eureka, Eureka. Similarly with Siddhartha. So always remember that these are some of the aspects of the life. I'm digressing a bit, but it's important because there are many, many, many I would call missionaries or leaders from other religions who go to the village in traditional Buddhist countries and they ask the child, do you love your father? The child obviously says, yes, I love my father very much. Oh, I adore my father very much. And this chap or lady will say, what if your father leaves you and your mother? How would you feel? What can the child say? Of course, I'll be very angry with my father. I will really be hating my father. I would not love him at all. That's exactly what your Buddha did. He left his wife and child and left home. What can this innocent child who has been taught that answer? So we need to be mindful that these are things that are happening. It is not possible for a Bodhisattva who's already attained very high level of perfection and spirituality to want to leave a palace in the middle of the night as though he's a thief. Did he do any crime? There is no need for him to go. His wife knows, the whole kingdom knew that either he is going to be a Raja Chakravarti or a spiritual Buddha. The whole kingdom knew. So what is there to hide? His wife, who is spiritual herself, knew that physically he was there, but his mind and his whole spiritual being was somewhere else. And what more honor can a wife have than to be the wife of the Buddha? So she says, go, go, go on your spiritual journey. You will never be happy in this palace because this is your calling, this is your mission, this is your aspiration. Go. But before you go, I love you so much. I love you deeply. Your absence is going to create a vacuum in me. And there is no way I am going to be able to fill your absence. So you have to give me two promises. What are the two promises? First, you must give me a baby, a child, who will fill out this vacuum, this of love, of happiness that is going to be created when you go. Second is, this vision, this renunciation that you are going to go, you should do it the very day that child is born. Because otherwise you get attached to the child and then your mission will be aborted. So she was realistic and he agreed to that. So that is how he left the palace. So I've dramatized this, I've written it in dialogue in my other book and also in this book. But what we need to understand is to have some insight and go deep inside and find out, feel all of these things. And then you will be able to have greater understanding of how these things happen. So read this book and many other books I have written, which are also meant to help you to develop your English language skills. We have our teacher from Australia, so we'll be talking later on how we can encourage you and help you to develop your language skills. These kinds of dialogue, stories, understanding will help. And also I want you to reflect. After reading, unfortunately, all of our approach to learning has been testing. So painful. We'll talk about this point later. We want to make it more fun, more enjoyable, so that we see some methods and techniques that we can do that. So let's proceed with the other aspects. Now, I talked about the visualization techniques. There is also a technique called affirmation. Affirmation is you affirm, you tell yourself, because the mind works in such a fashion that what you tell your mind, that is going to be actualized. It is called autogenetic. As you tell your mind, I am going to succeed, your mind will be programmed towards succeeding. If you tell yourself or tell your mind that, oh, this is difficult, I don't think I want to try, there is no way you can climb the mountain. No way. As you stand at the foot of the mountain and say, this is too steep, it's so much of snow, you are not going to climb the top of the mountain. You're not going to be on top. So these visualization techniques, as well as daily affirmation techniques, I have done some posters. Hopefully later on we will print these posters and we can have these posters in the college itself, and then individually have these posters in your room and make it a point in the morning and before you go to bed to affirm. And these are free of charge. You don't have to go and see somebody and pay somebody or buy it from anywhere and go and listen to some guru and they charge you, as I said, by the thousands. The reason why we don't put a price, when they say I'm giving a talk and it is free, or many people think, oh, this is free, must be some kacang putih. I don't know how you call it in your language, but in Malaysia, kacang putih means peanuts. In English, so if it's peanuts, it must be some ordinary kind of talk. So that is the problem we have. We don't put a price and many people think it is peanut. Not worth listening. But the reason why we don't put a price is because we do not know what price to put. It is so valuable. We cannot put a price. It's priceless. So always when you do the presentation, when you grow up, and when you go around, and I want each and every one of you to carry this wonderful Dhamma teaching to wherever you go, to whoever you meet, the younger generation, because you're all going to be leaders, you're all going to lead the community in some form or other. Always tell them these are priceless. And that's why you're doing it for free. Out of compassion, as His Holiness says, out of compassion, out of kindness, out of gratitude. So we must carry this mission, we must carry this gospel of His Holiness to the whole world. And we have some examples of daily Shraddha affirmation. Can we have the poster? These are some examples of the affirmations. They're very simple but very powerful. Very, very powerful. You might not realize it just by looking at it on the screen, but when you keep on doing it on a daily basis as a drill, as a routine, as an exercise, you'll find that you are becoming more and more motivated, more and more positive in your outlook, and more confident. You have your Shraddha level will increase as you do it. It is not an overnight thing. It is not a one-day affair. It is not a flash in the pan, but be consistent. Be all the time. For example, that you can have your own. There is no hard and fast rule that this is the only affirmation or this kind of wording. You can use your own wording. So long as you feel that there is some kind of association and motivation to what your aspiration is. Enlightened and compassionate Buddha, I pledge to follow with unwavering determination the sublime Dhamma you have bequeathed to humankind as I grow up in life. I will progressively strengthen my Shraddha in the three Ratna, in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Three Ratna are the three Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. I will always show my profound love for my most beloved parents. This is the fundamental teaching of the Buddha. Your parents, and at the feet of your parents is heaven. Heaven, success, well-being is at the feet of the parents. Because of this great teaching of gratitude, that we have to worship our parents and have boundless gratitude to our parents. Does anybody know what the first teaching of the Buddha is? What is the first teaching of the Buddha? Four Noble Truths. Sure? Yes. The Four Noble Truths was the first sermon he gave. Four Noble Truths is the first sermon he gave. His first teaching was, as soon as he attained enlightenment, what did he do? He paid the respect to the Bodhisattvas. Imagine an enlightened being, the Buddha, paying respects to a tree. That is the first lesson. The Buddha paying respect to a tree, not even a human being. Out of gratitude for the protection, out of gratitude for the time that he was able to spend undisturbed from the weather and elements. He taught us that that should be the first thing. To be grateful. Yesterday I talked to you about being grateful to be born human. Be grateful to yourself. Love yourself first. So all these should come as you do these practices. These thoughts, these understanding, these sentiments must be strengthened in you as you do the practice. Then, after the parents, I will pay due respect to my teachers and elders. Very fundamental people. After your parents, your elders and your teachers. Because you have to pay your gratitude, have gratitude and pay your respects to your teachers. Regardless of who they are, what they teach, you have. And that is our culture, that is our tradition, that is our heritage, and that is what the Buddha taught. I will extend freely, most noble teacher, my metta to all living beings. Well, I did this some years ago. Metta, I realized later on, is not loving kindness. Metta is derived from the word mitra. Mitra means friend. Because it was translated earlier on as loving kindness by Rice Davis, And I also felt that love and kindness seem incongruous. It doesn't go together. Love is love, kindness is kindness. So how can you bring about a coinage called loving kindness? These two different things. So on further investigation, it is clear that metta is from the word mitra, meaning friend. So it is friendliness. The importance of being friendly with everybody in society. And this idea of boundless friendliness. You must have boundless friendliness with everybody. So develop this idea, this feeling, this teaching of friendliness with everybody you meet. And the most important thing is to be friendly to yourself. Please be friendly to yourself. Please have metta for yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, if you are not friendly with yourself, there is no way you can be friendly with anybody else. We forget that. Always start with yourself. I am fortunate to be a human being. I must be friendly to myself. I must respect this body. I must not do anything to injure this body, to harm this body. I must do everything possible to make this body comfortable and happy and well. I will forever aspire to achieve personal self-development and progress as I strive earnestly to be a worthy example of your fragrant personality and eternal Dhamma. That's a gratitude to have. Because you're very fortunate to have the Buddha as your teacher, the peerless, unparalleled teacher, and because the Dhamma is so realistic, so complete, and so wholesome, you feel grateful that you are privileged to have this as your heritage and as your guide. Can we have the next? Again, this is another example. Success maybe can be quantified, but excellence is what I want you to aspire. Doesn't matter whatever it is that you're aspiring, try and achieve excellence in whatever it is. Be it sports, be it dance, be it singing, be it, just doing a skilled job and give it your best shot. Even if you are going to do some cleaning, give it your best shot. Not just do something because it is a chore or you have to do it, but do it with zest. Have some zeal and give all that you've got. Whatever you are doing. If you are asked to write something, make sure that that is your best effort, that's your best piece that you're going to do. And in the process, you will actualize excellence. We don't need to quantify. We do it within the framework of our capability and within the framework of our inner talents and skills. We don't need to compare with somebody else. So long as within yourself you give it the best shot and you do whatever you can in terms of your own individual capabilities and talents and skills and intelligence, because we are not all the same, that's good enough. You are happy with yourself. And that matters. Right? Sure? Next. These are again some of the posters. We can have them and we can develop them. And somebody could volunteer to spread this around through the internet or print out. And let's have all this as living, not just listening in 1 year and then goes off the next year, the next day. We have it as a living culture. Develop this as part of your culture in the college, as part of your life, as part of your being, so that then you will have a community that is visibly living the Dhamma. This is not so clear. You have to develop this. This is in terms of autogenetic. I'm trying to emphasize this mind is such that if you keep telling it to do something, it will do exactly that. That's how the mind works. And that's how many of the psychotherapists, if they want to correct you in some way which has gone wrong, they take out whatever the program that is altered and put in a new program and tell you to repeat the new program that they have got. It's not clear, it's not no point. So, how much time do we have? Question time? Yeah. I thought I'd spend a little bit time on well-being and wellness. Well-being is not just the physical well-being, but also the mental, the psychological well-being as well. So, very often, well-being is seen as not being sick, but the way we need to look at well-being is to move towards wellness, and that is the total person that we are in terms of our emotions as well, not just not falling sick and not having any sickness, but feeling wonderful in terms of our sentiments, in terms of emotions, in terms of feelings for others, for ourselves, etc. Any questions? Please feel free. Yesterday we had a question of one of our sisters. Instantly, I always address you